is ZeBirdBrain, and today we are talking about Harmony 21's new brush features, because they're amazing! So if you have Harmony 21 installed, you might have noticed that there's a lot of new brushes. And not to brag, but I'll brag, lots of those were made by yours truly. This includes the Geometric FX, which is an amazing brush to do FX animation. If you have a pen that supports rotation, it allows you to create some very cool and unique shapes, like this one. If you don't have a pen that supports rotation, it's still interesting, it's just a little less chaotic. Little fact, the Geometric FX brush is the brush I use in my introduction to make the weird fire that Z has with her crown. And there's a bunch of other ones like the tilting pencil, the tilt shading. Tilt shading is really cool because it allows you to draw with any types of stylus. You can draw, and if you hold your stylus straight on the top of your tablet, it's gonna have a very thin line. But if you draw it with a tilt, you see it's gonna give me a much washed out painting, which is very good. I use it to draw my rough. So if I drew a crown here, I could put my stylus flat to have a very pale lines, and then if I want to define it more, I can just hold it a bit more upright. But all that using the same brush. So if you see me in my streams, this is usually the brush I'm using. Either tilt shading or tilt pencil, because they work very similarly. Another brush that I really love that I made is the dry ballpoint. So the previous version of Harmony had the ballpoint, which was a very normal brush that allows you to do some very clean line work, just like a ballpoint pen with ink. But everybody knows artists don't like a ballpoint with ink, they like a dry ballpoint. Because a ballpoint full of ink does a line like this, and if you sketch, it's boring. But if you have a dry ballpoint and you sketch with it, it's so good because you kind of have a pen that doesn't have lots of opacity as you sketch. If I take my dry ballpoint and I draw slowly, like if I do cleanup, you see it's going to be much more defined. It's only if I go quick that I have this thing happening. So how do I do this? This is all possible due to the new features of the brush tool. And today I'm going to walk you through it. So first I'm going to start with the Geometric FX. And I'm going to be using Wacom's art pen for this. By the way, I'm not sponsored, but if you want to sponsor me, Wacom, hello. My name is Z, you can sponsor me, love your tablets. If you have a pen like the art pen that supports rotation, if you look here, I'm twisting my pen and it's making my brush rotate. If I take a normal pen, it doesn't do that. Even if I rotate it, it doesn't rotate the shape. So if I draw and I twist my pen, it's going to twist the brush. How do we do this is we go to the properties, and right here you have a angle function. Twist if supported by pen, that's what I'm using. So I'm using a diamond shape. You can also use a square, and then you can rotate it. If you use a circle, it's less impressive, but it's really great with square shapes. So I started with this so that we can get it out of the way, but yeah, if it's supported by your pen, you can use twist with any brush. But if you don't have twist, there is a lot of different options that you can use. And to show you this, I'm gonna use this thing here called straight ribbon. It's really just a brush with 3 dots that does this, but it's the best brush to kind of understand what's going on with the angle function. So for the angle function, you have constant, heading, azimuth, and twist. Twist, we don't already see, it's just if you can rotate your pen or something, but here you have constant, which will always keep the brush constant, so that's pretty average. We have the heading, which will kind of guess where your pen is heading, like this. Pretty cool. And then you have the azimuth. Azimuth, from what I understood, what it does, it allows you to have a fake twist. So if a pen supports twist, it means that if you rotate it, it's going to work. But if your pen doesn't support it, the only other information that Harmony could use is the relation between the tip of your pen and the eraser. So azimuth basically takes the relation between your eraser and your tip of your nib. So like if you put your pen like this, like I think the software kind of does like calculation to kind of guess the angle at which it is with your nib. I don't know, I'm not a mathematician or like a dev or anything, but that's kind of what it does. So azimuth is kind of a way to fake the twist if you don't support it with your pencil. Pretty cool to use for many different features. So let's dive to the new universal feature. So to show you that, I'm going to use the ballpoint, like I said. So if I use my ballpoint, it's just straight like this. But if I use the dry ballpoint, and I'm going to make it bigger, if I go slow, it's thick, but if I go fast, it becomes thinner. This is because if you go to your tool properties, right here, a lot of the feature will have a triangle here. You have it in the maximum size. You also have it into the transparency. These new little triangles offer you a world of possibilities. So in the past, you could only map pressure on your brush, which was great, but now in 21, you can also map the tilt and the speed. So for the dry ballpoint, even if you press harder, it's not gonna make your nib bigger because that's not how it works in life. But if you go faster, then you will have less ink on your brush. So if I go slowly, I have lots of ink, and if I go fast, there's less ink on my ballpoint. So that's how I did it. You could also put pressure in it. It's just that for the tutorials, it's better to just use one of them. Next, I'm going to show you the tilt pencil and the tilt shading. So for the tilt shading, if I hold my pen upright, it's going to be thin and dark, but if I hold it to the side, it's going to be wide and more pale, like this. Same brush. This is because the opacity was mapped to tilt. So depending on how tilted my pencil is, it's going to change the opacity of my strokes. So it's a very cool brush to use to draw. And yeah, so that's it for the little demonstration. To set it up yourself, it's super easy. All you have to do is bring the triangle here and play with the little settings. There's so much things you could do with this. It's easy to explain, but then you can just personalize it so much with your own brushes. So you find it in maximum size and also in transparency. There's a whole section about tapering that I'm not going to cover today. Today I just wanted to cover this part. Yeah, don't forget to save your brush either by going to plus sign to create a new one, or if you want to edit an existing one of yours, you can also use the update brush preset button. Alright, so I hope you had fun, and I cannot wait to see all the brushes you do. And have a nice day. Bye bye.